Some animals communicate using sound. Some we can hear, while others use frequencies too high or too low for human ears. But sound isn't the only method. Many species communicate through vibrations, chemicals, or even light. Today, we're going to explore some fascinating ways animals communicate that we cannot hear or barely understand. The standard range of audible human hearing is 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz, or 20 kHz. Anything over 20 kHz is ultrasonic sound, and anything under 20 Hz is infrasonic sound. Infrasonic sound is made of low-frequency sound waves. They have large wavelengths but do not hold as much information as ultrasonic waves. However, they travel much further. Elephants communicate with both audible and infrasonic sound, as well as another form we will talk about later. Their audible vocalizations include trumpeting that can reach 117 decibels and could be heard several kilometers away under the right conditions. They use this type of communication when excited, alarming for predators, when they become aggressive, or even highly aroused. Elephants can also produce infrasonic sound around 15 to 35 Hz for African elephants. These are extremely low rumbles meant for long-distance communication. The sound is so low that they travel through both air and through the ground. Some people have said that you can feel the vibrations from these sounds through your bones, even if you cannot hear them. Ultrasonic sound is made of very high frequency waves. They are extremely fast and the wavelengths are small. They carry a lot of detail but only cover short distances. This is how bats use echolocation. Bats produce pulses of sound that can reach 200 kHz, far beyond human audible range. When those pulses hit an object, the echo returns with enough detail for the bat to map out its surroundings. That is how they are able to fly with precision in complete darkness. They also use ultrasonic calls to communicate socially. Their communication is so high that it is within a frequency band most prey and predators cannot detect. Whales also use low-frequency sounds for the same reasons as elephants, but on a much larger scale. Whales can produce sounds between 10 and 40 Hz, which can travel across an entire ocean basin. The ocean has a layer 600 to 1200 meters deep, creatively named the SOFAR channel. In this zone, sound can move extremely far with minimal energy loss. Whales use that channel to communicate during migrations, maintain social bonds, and find potential mates separated by hundreds of kilometers. Another form of communication in the animal kingdom is light communication. Cuttlefish use flashing patterns, skin signals, and dynamic camouflage. Cuttlefish skin has 3 key layers called chromatophores, which are pigment sacs that expand or contract to show different colors. Their iridophores are reflectors that create shiny blue and green hues, and their leucophores are a white base layer that enhances brightness. When aggressive or defending territory, they will flash black and white bars down their body to warn rivals. It is fast-moving, and scientists call it a passing cloud which signals dominance or readiness to fight. They also use light for courtship. Males produce asymmetrical patterns. One side of them becomes bright and bold to court females, while the other side stays neutral to avoid provoking nearby males. Some males will even mimic female markings to move past dominant males without triggering aggression. Peacocks are already beautiful animals, with the males being the ones to have all the colorful feathers to attract females. But they also use UV signals that we cannot see. Peacock feathers are not brightly colored because of pigment, but rather microscopic crystal-like structures in their feathers that reflect specific wavelengths of light, including ultraviolet. Birds can see UV light due to extra types of cone cells in their eyes, allowing for tetrachromatic vision and use of UV-sensitive photoreceptors. During courtship, peacocks move their feathers to reflect intense UV flashes. The UV highlights symmetry, spacing, and sharpness of the male's eye spot patterns. Peahens, which is a female peacock, rely on both the male's visible colors, but also the UV signals to judge a male's quality. Some forms of communication do not come from sight or sound, but instead through vibrational communication. Spiders use web vibrations as a main communication method. Most spider species sense the world through vibrations transmitted through their webs or on the ground. They pick up signals using scent sensilia, which is a tiny stretch-sensitive sensor on their legs. They respond to stretching or bending of the spider's cuticle, as well as trichobothria, fine hairs that can detect air movement, as well as vibration frequency, intensity, and rhythm. Male species will pluck webs during courtship to signal their species or intentions to other spiders, and females will respond differently to vibrational patterns that they understand to be prey or another male. Not all spiders live in webs. Those that do not will drum their abdomens on leaves or other surfaces to communicate. Tree hoppers are very interesting looking insects, relatives of cicadas, but much different. Tree hoppers communicate by sending vibrational signals through plant stems. These vibrations are created by shaking their bodies and tapping on the plant, and the plant will send the signal to the receiver. Males will send calling songs through the plant to females, and females will then respond with their own signals. The timing and rhythm of the messages matter a lot to avoid cross-species confusion. Elephants have another form of communication, and that is ground-based communication. Elephants generate seismic vibrations through low-frequency rumbles by stomping their feet on the ground. These vibrations can be detected and understood by elephants over 2 kilometers away. The vibrations travel through the dirt and are received by mechanical detectors that turn physical energy into nerve signals through their feet. Their bones act like conductors, and in their inner ear they have something called the malleus. This form of communication is used by elephants as long-distance contact. Matriarchs will often lead and coordinate the herd through seismic signals. It can be used for navigation and migrations, and it will also be an alarm to warn others of threats like predators or humans. Chemical communication is one of the oldest and most widespread communication systems in the animal kingdom. Instead of sounds, vibrations, or visuals, some animals send molecular messages. Ants create pheromone trails similar to a GPS network. They release pheromones through glands on their abdomen or feet. The chemicals evaporate at different rates, which allow ants to understand whether a trail is old or fresh. When ants find food, they will travel back home, leaving a pheromone trail which gives information to other ants of the colony, which will then follow the trail and reinforce it. They also have pheromones that act as alarms, releasing different chemicals when crushed or threatened, and those pheromones trigger a fight or flight response from nearby ants. Pheromones are also used for colony identification, and a key method of communication and coordination in army ants without creating chaos or confusion for the ants. Moths have one of the most precise and powerful chemical signals. Their pheromones are primarily used for long-distance mating. Female moths will time-release pheromones in pulses through the air, and with the feathered antenna of the males, they are able to receive the signals to advance through his sensory receptors. Bees have complex communication through pheromones based on their stages of life or behaviors they trigger. Each pheromone has a different job and helps the hive to act as one superorganism. The queen has a few main pheromones. The queen mandibular pheromone, which helps to regulate the behavior of the bees within the hive and lets all other bees know the queen is alive and healthy. If the queen dies, the loss of her tarsal pheromone or footprint pheromone causes workers to build queen cells in order to replace her. Her queen retinue pheromone tells the workers to feed and groom her, and her Duford's gland pheromone tells workers which larvae are hers and to feed, and which are not and to be destroyed. Alarm pheromones are released when a bee stings, which is what causes other bees to follow suit and sting as well. Nasanov pheromones are used during flight outside the hive and are used for foraging and helps bees navigate their way back to the hive. Early stages of bee life produces the brood pheromone, which is produced by larvae and tells workers how many larvae need to be fed and controls foraging patterns by signaling the larvae need for pollen. Brood recognition pheromone helps nurse bees tell the difference between worker larvae and drone larvae, so they can provide the right food. They combine chemical signals with the waggle dance, which says where the food is, but the pheromones tell the hive how urgently they need to respond. When we think about communication, we usually think about words or sounds we can hear. But in the natural world, communication happens across frequencies, chemicals, vibrations, and light that humans were never meant to perceive. From seismic signals traveling through the ground to chemical messages floating on the wind, animals have evolved systems perfectly tuned to their environments. They are not primitive signals, they are precise, efficient, and incredibly advanced. We are not surrounded by silence in nature, we are surrounded by conversation happening just outside our senses. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, drop a comment on the type of communication you found the most fascinating. Do not forget to subscribe for more interesting videos like this one, and I will see you all next time.